Mr. Transformers 96 here with another video where I'm going to be doing a comparison on some of the upcoming Marvel Legends waves. So there's quite a few upcoming Marvel Legends waves. As you can see, there's kind of like 4 on their way, I would say. The ones that are kind of out now, or I would consider already out, is the Cull Obsidian as well as the Lizard Build-A-Figure waves. They are kind of in full force out right now, and I'm in the progress of trying to complete both of those Build-A-Figures. I'm a little closer on Lizard than I am on Cull Obsidian, but I am attempting to complete the both of them. So while I'm working on them, I am also looking forward to the future where there are these 4 waves coming out. 2 of these have kind of already come out. The Apocalypse and SP-DR Build-A-Figure waves have kind of already come out. They're really not hitting stores quite yet, but like Hasbro.com has had them in stock at least once in the past. So in like the past week, that's been very recent. So those are kind of the 2 that are starting to hit stores, or at least going to start hitting stores soon. And then Monster Venom Sauron are the ones coming in after them. So in this video, I'm just going to be kind of talking about what I think about the waves, what I personally plan to purchase. I've made individual videos talking about each of these waves. However, I want to just talk about them in a grand scheme, like kind of compared to each other. And then I'm also going to compare the Build-A-Figures together. And I'm going to rank them as well. So starting off here with the wave that I'm least impressed with, that's going to have to be the SP-DR Build-A-Figure wave. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. It's obviously very strange, but that's the wave that I'm very much least looking forward to, and for the most part, I don't plan to pick it up. Mainly because the Build-A-Figure is a little underwhelming for me. I'm not super familiar with the character. He just doesn't visually strike me as interesting, so I really don't have any desire for that Build-A-Figure. And then the rest of the figures in the waves, I'm just not interested in. Spider-Man, I just have a million versions of Spider-Man, so those 2 don't excite me. I've never been a big fan of Deadpool, Elektra, or Cloak and Dagger, so those don't interest me either. The only exception to this in this wave has to be the Dr. Octopus figure, which I am very much looking forward to. I'm a big Spider-Man villain fan. Dr. Octopus is the main Spider-Man villain that I have wanted a figure of for the longest time, so I'm very happy that we are actually getting him, and I'm even happier that it's just a regular figure, not a Build-A-Figure. So I do plan to pick up that Dr. Octopus, absolutely. However, the rest of the wave, I plan to completely skip. I just have no desire for any of the figures in the wave or the Build-A-Figure. So overall, that's definitely going to be my least favorite wave or assortment of the figures. Now next, it's hard to say what I'd say is my next one that I'm looking forward to, or because I mean that's really the only wave I really don't like. The other waves I do like. So I think that I would say, you know, I filmed this video before, and the volume I had issues with, so I'm refilming it now. And before I said that the next one was Sauron, but I think I'm going to actually switch it now and say that Monster Venom is the wave that I'm next looking forward to. I think that the Build-A-Figure of that wave looks very cool. I'm not a huge fan of that version of Venom, but I think that the figure looks nice, so I am excited for that. But then Scream is really the only figure that I'm like super excited for in that wave. Carnage is my favorite Marvel character. However, the figure just basically has new accessories, and the rest of the figure is exactly the same as the previous one, so the figure's underwhelming. They should have done like an Ultimate Carnage or something to make it different. Then Poison, I do actually like the look of Poison, so he looks pretty nice, but I'm not a huge fan, or I'm not super familiar with the character, but I like the look of him. Typhoid Mary, I think she looks nice, and Spider-Ham looks okay. He looks goofy, but he looks like he could be maybe fun, but he's a little small and shouldn't be just a figure on his own. And then Venom is the same as Carnage, just a couple new accessories. So for the most part, the series, the figures in the actual wave, Scream is the only one that excites me. Poison I would pick up though, and Carnage I would pick up, and Typhoid Mary I would pick up as well, but I'm not going to be like super excited for those, I must say. So this wave, I think I'll complete the Build-A-Figure, but Scream is the only figure that I'll absolutely pick up, and then I hope that I'll pick up Carnage and Poison, but for the most part, for the other figures, I'm going to be mainly just saying, if I can get the Build-A-Figure piece on its own cheaper, then I'll just do that, or like for a good price. But if I can get just the figure, for a good price, then I'll buy that as well. So that's gonna kind of be my, how I go about it. That's kind of how I go about a lot of the figures nowadays. Is I try to complete the Build-A-Figures by mainly just buying the Build-A-Figure pieces, unless it's a figure that I'm very much wanting to get. Or with the case in the Lizard series, there's not many figures in that series that I wanted, but I've ended up picking up a lot of the figures simply because I got them for a good enough price that it warranted just buying the whole figure rather than just buying the Build-A-Figure piece. So that's how I'm going to kind of handle that wave. The Sauron wave is similar in the fact that I'm probably going to do that with a lot of the figures too. I think the regular Deadpool looks awesome. That's the one figure that I will absolutely pick up. But then as far as the X-Men Deadpool, I think looks cool as well, and Wolverine I think looks nice too. So those three figures would be the three that I'd like to get. And then the Lady Deadpool, Bishop, and Omega Red are all going to be ones that if I can get the figure for a decent price, awesome. If I can get the Build-A-Figure for a really good price, then awesome. That's what I'll do. So that's kind of how I plan to handle that wave, but I'm very much looking forward to the Sauron Build-A-Figure. And then the way that I think looks the best here has to be the X-Men one. It looks really nice. You got a nice solid Wolverine, which of course we have a lot of Wolverines, you know, recently we get one quite often. However, this is the best costume. This is the, you know, classic 90s costume for Wolverine, so I think that he looks great. The Magneto, I love the character, but just I wish that he was in a different costume. That's my one complaint with that figure, but the figure itself does look good. Sabretooth I'm super excited for. Storm looks nice. I'm just not a huge fan of that costume too, but I think that she does look like a good figure. Multiple Man looks awesome. I'm very excited for that figure. I love the fact that he comes with multiple head sculpts, give you a reason to army build him. And then Psylocke I think looks wonderful. And then Guardian, I think his name is just Guardian, but that character I've never been a fan of, and I just don't like his look. So personally, I would prefer just to purchase his Build-A-Figure piece and not have to deal with the figure. But that series, I absolutely will get Magneto, Sabretooth, Psylocke, and Multiple Man, and then I'll try to skip Guardian just for his Build-A-Figure piece, and then with Storm and Wolverine, I'll either just buy the Build-A-Figure piece or I'll buy the figure, you know, depending on whatever comes out to be a better deal. So that's my plan, but I do plan to pick up Apocalypse. So now let's do a little comparison of the Build-A-Figures in general. There's some very interesting Build-A-Figures coming out. Apocalypse is pretty mainstream. The rest are somewhat obscure, but the next one that wouldn't be as obscure would be Sauron, I'd say. And then the Monster Venom, and then especially the SP-DR are pretty obscure characters, I think. But personally, the SP-DR figure is not one that I'm interested in. Again, like I mentioned, I will say that the figure looks, I mean, it's nice that it doesn't reuse any parts. It's all new sculpts, but the figure looks very skinny. He looks somewhat tall, but he looks very skinny, and you know, his wave does include 7 figures. However, you only need to buy 6 to complete him, but the best figure is the one that doesn't come with a Build-A-Figure piece, so that's always unfortunate when they do that. But that figure, you're getting the least for, he's the smallest Build-A-Figure out of these 4. And then the next best one I would say is the I'd say, I mean, figure wise I'd say Monster Venom looks like, out of Apocalypse and Monster Venom, figure-wise, the Monster Venom looks better, but character-wise, Apocalypse one is better, so I think that I'm kind of more looking forward to the Apocalypse one, just because the character is so good, and I love the face sculpt that's on him. I do believe that some of that figure is reused, though, from Onslaught, which is very disappointing. Or it's not, you know, I mean, it fits for him, it certainly does, but it's disappointing whenever they reuse a lot of pieces, but I think that that does look like a nice figure, and character-wise, it's excellent as well. I wish it was slightly bigger, but I still think that that's going to be a nice figure. The Monster Venom does seem to be mainly a new sculpt, and he looks really cool and very aggressive, which is nice. Again, I'm not like a huge Monster Venom fan in particular, but I think that the figure does look nice enough that I am quite excited for that one, and I do love the aggressive head sculpt. I think that's very cool, and the hands look very nice. The legs and feet look a little underwhelming. I think they could go a little more extreme, especially with the feet. You could get the toes spread a little bit further, make them look a little bit more monstrous. I think that would be nice. But for the most part, I do really like that Venom figure. Sauron, I think, is the figure that I'm most looking forward to out of these Build-A-Figures, which does surprise me a bit, I have to say, but that does look like a really solid figure. Some of them is reused from the Lizard figure that was a Walmart exclusive back when Amazing Spider-Man 1 came out, like the torso, but the majority of the figure is a new sculpt. He does look very big, like figure-wise, he's just slightly bigger, you know, he's skinny and kind of big, but he comes with a tail and then some massive wings, which do make him quite a large figure, and I think the wings just look excellent. I'm hoping that the figure looks this good in person, because the wings just look really neat. They look wet, they look organic. I love the spray that's been added to them. They look really realistic, which I love. So I hope that in person they look as good as they do look in this photo, because they do look excellent here, and that kind of makes me want the figure quite a bit. But yeah, and I also really like Pterodactyls, and his head sculpt just looks awesome, so I am very excited for that one. But out of these 3 Build-A-Figures, I am looking forward to Apocalypse, Monster Venom, as well as Sauron, and yeah, it's a neat range of Build-A-Figures coming out, I must say, and some of them do look quite cool. One thing that I will say, I forgot to mention it in the Sauron Wave, is that I would prefer one of those figures to be something that more fits with Sauron, because Deadpool, I don't really consider Sauron much of a Deadpool villain, but, you know, he maybe has encountered him, I'm sure, but he's certainly an X-Men character, and I would love to see someone like the kind of jungle themed Rogue. I think that she would work really nicely in that wave, or the same type of themed jungle like look for Storm. I think that those 2 figures would be really nice in this wave, especially the Rogue one, to go along with that Build-A-Figure. But yeah, there you go. That's my thoughts on the upcoming Marvel Legends waves, kind of what I think about the waves individually and how they compare to each other, and what I think about the Build-A-Figures in general. So there you go. So that's my thoughts on the waves. Let me know what you guys think of my thoughts. I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts on the upcoming waves are. What's your most anticipated wave? What's your least anticipated wave? What Build-A-Figure you're most looking forward to? Which Build-A-Figure do you not like? You know, and all sorts of stuff, because there are quite a few figures coming out soon, and they all look pretty interesting. My favorite just individual figure of the waves, just so you know, would probably be Dr. Octopus, Scream, Sabretooth, and the standard Deadpool. Those are my favorite just regular characters or regular figures in each of the waves. So I'd love to hear you guys as well. And thanks so much for watching.